There is a verse in the Quran that doesn't just speak to your mind, it speaks to your reality. A verse that, according to the teachings of Ibn Arabi, holds a doorway to endless provision, not just material wealth, but barakah, the kind of abundance that multiplies in silence. But let's ask something uncomfortable. Why does wealth feel so far away? Why does barakah feel like it belongs to someone else? Ibn Arabi said it's because we've mistaken the source. We chase numbers, not names. We look for value in digits, not in divine presence. But barakah doesn't live in numbers. It lives in alignment, and that alignment begins with the verse most Muslims recite daily, but almost none understand its depth. Allahu la ilaha illa huwa Al-Hayy Al-Qayyum. Allah, there is no deity except Him, the ever-living, the sustainer of all existence. This is not a sentence, it is a cosmic switch. Ibn Arabi taught that Hayy, the ever-living, is the secret of life flowing through all things, and Qayyum, the sustainer, is the force that holds reality upright, the invisible hand beneath every visible thing. He wrote, "The one who remembers these names awakens the sustenance already flowing to him, but blocked by veils of forgetfulness." So what if you recited this verse tonight, not as a ritual, but as a return? What if your lips didn't just say it, but your being entered it? Because wealth doesn't begin in your wallet. It begins in the part of you that remembers. You were never separate from abundance. You only forgot where it flows from. Let's be honest. You've probably asked God for wealth more than once, in desperation, in tears, in silence before sleep, and yet nothing changes. No breakthrough, no unexpected blessing, no sign that He heard. Ibn Arabi said this is because most people ask for wealth from a place of separation. They say, "Ya Allah, give me." But what they're really saying is, "I believe I don't have, and you are far from me." That gap between you and the source is the first reason your dua doesn't move, because the real doesn't respond to begging. The real responds to alignment. He wrote, "Dua is not to inform God of your need, but to awaken yourself to how close He already is." So when you recite, "Allahu la ilaha illa huwa Al-Hayy Al-Qayyum," it's not a request, it's a reminder. You are affirming that life doesn't come from your job, it comes from Al-Hayy. That your sustenance isn't held by the economy, it's held by Al-Qayyum. This is why Ibn Arabi insisted, before you ask for anything, dissolve the illusion of separation. Sit in the presence of that name until you no longer feel like you're speaking to God, but through Him. Only then does wealth respond. Not because He changed His plan, but because you return to it. Most people recite these names of God like decoration, beautiful, poetic, but distant. But Ibn Arabi saw them as keys, not just to the unseen world, but to unlocking the stuck patterns in your reality. He taught that every divine name isn't just a title of God. It's a mirror of a quality that lives inside you. When you say Al-Hayy, the ever-living, you're not calling on a God outside yourself. You're awakening the place in you that has been deadened by fear, by doubt, by forgetfulness. You're saying, "I remember the part of me that can rise again." And when you say Al-Qayyum, the self-sustaining, you're calling back the version of yourself that doesn't need external validation, that stands in alignment, rooted, certain, full of inner authority. Ibn Arabi wrote, "Each name of God is a door within you, and the one who knocks with presence will see it open from the inside." So when you recite that verse tonight, Allahu la ilaha illa huwa Al-Hayy Al-Qayyum, realize this: you are not begging, you are becoming. Wealth responds to who you are, not what you ask for. So the question is no longer, how do I attract wealth, but rather, am I aligned with what wealth already is? Because God doesn't withhold, He reflects. Here's a hard truth most people miss. God already wrote your sustenance. Your risk is not in the future. It's already been placed, measured, wrapped, and sent. But not everyone will receive it. Why? Because receiving isn't about deserving, it's about decoding. Ibn Arabi said the spiritual heart is like a receiver of divine frequencies, but most hearts are clogged, clouded by ego, blocked by envy, shut down by fear. He wrote, "The soul that forgets its source will see scarcity even in a sea of provision." You might be surrounded by opportunities. People might offer you doors, but when your perception is veiled, you won't even see them. This is why dhikr matters. When you repeat a divine name with presence, you are not just speaking, you are tuning your internal receiver. So when you say, Al-Hayy, you awaken vitality. Al-Qayyum, you awaken trust. Al-Razaq, you awaken flow. And when those names echo from your core, the world responds. Because reality is not random, it's responsive. You don't recite these names to force God to give you something. You recite them to become someone who can hold what God already sent. Think about it. If your hands are closed in fear, how will you receive what's already falling from the sky? Barakah isn't about working harder. It's about removing the barriers within yourself that kept it from landing. Ibn Arabi shared something few dare to believe. The more you chase the world, the more it hides. But when you turn inward, the world comes looking for you. It sounds poetic until you experience it. You hustle, you grind, you chase every opportunity, but nothing sticks. And then, in a moment of surrender, when you stop clenching, stop striving, stop begging, something shifts. That's not a coincidence. That's alignment. You see, the divine names don't want your repetition. They want your transformation. You can say Al-Hayy 1,000 times, but if you're still walking through life like you're spiritually dead, numb, doubtful, disconnected, then your mouth is speaking, but your being is silent. You can call on Al-Qayyum, but if you're still leaning on people's opinions, if your self-worth collapses with someone's rejection, then you haven't yet stood in that name. Real dhikr is not on the tongue, it's on the shelf. Ibn Arabi taught that each name becomes real when it reshapes how you see, move, speak, and trust. So when you live as if you're held, you are. When you act as if you're already provided for, you will be. Because in this spiritual reality, receiving is not a reward, it's a reflection. The name of God is like a mirror, and the moment you match it, you don't need to search. You start to attract. Now that you know the verse, Allahu la ilaha illa huwa Al-Hayy Al-Qayyum, and you've tasted the secrets hidden in its names, the question becomes, what will you do with it? This isn't a magic spell. This isn't superstition. This is remembrance, and remembrance is return. Ibn Arabi taught, dhikr isn't about repeating God's names. It's about becoming aware that you've never left them. You were always within His care. You were always connected to provision. You just needed to realign your soul's antenna back to the source of the signal. So here's how you do it tonight. Before you sleep, sit in silence. Let the noise of the day fade. And with each breath, say slowly, Allah. Feel the presence. La ilaha illahu. Feel the release. Al-Hayy Al-Qayyum. Feel the remembrance. But don't just say it. Feel it. Let every repetition strip away fear. Let each word rebuild your trust, then sleep. Let the names echo in your soul while you rest. And tomorrow, don't be surprised when life starts flowing again. When answers come, when something lost returns, or something better replaces it. You didn't force it. You aligned with it. You didn't beg. You became. That's the secret of divine provision. If this awakens something in you, don't let it be a one-time experience. There's more, so much more. So subscribe to Heart's Whisper, and let's walk this path of remembrance, meaning, and mystery together. Because your soul didn't find this video by accident. It's time to remember what never forgot you.